Okay, so making wills during the coronavirus. So there are two stages of making a will, and this applies whether you're doing the will ordinarily or during the coronavirus and lockdown. And the first really is to give instructions, and this would be normally where the solicitor would meet with you and make sure that they fully understood your instructions to ensure that we can give you the best possible advice. And as part of this, we would need to explore a number of different issues. As professionals, we've got obligations to make sure, for example, that you haven't been unduly influenced or pressurised into making the will. So ordinarily, we'd see clients on their own at our office or at their home to check that anybody who's a key beneficiary of the will isn't there ensuring that they are given preferential treatment. We also need to check that the will cannot be challenged in future, for example, on the basis that the person making the will didn't have capacity. So if that person has got dementia, for example, then we would need to make sure that they were not confused and that they did fully understand what was involved. This can present difficulties in the coronavirus situation because we would need to meet with people ordinarily. And video conferencing, sometimes that's sufficient, but sometimes it's not. And that will be a question where the person taking those instructions would need to measure and think very carefully that they were satisfied that that person was able to do so. We'd also need to explore your own individual circumstances to check and advise on whether it's possible that there may be any claims brought against the estate. For instance, if a person is excluding someone that they would otherwise be expected to make provision for, one of their children as an example. We would also explore the impact of any inheritance tax on any gifts that are given in the will, and therefore it would be helpful to have an understanding of what assets that person has. And as part of that fact-finding, getting to know our client, we would also want to understand how any assets are held. This is quite important because sometimes if assets are held jointly, they can pass automatically to the surviving owner, irrespective of the terms of the will. Another area which would need to be explored at this meeting would be any pensions or life insurance. So these kinds of assets are dealt with separately from the will. So, for example, a pension fund, it's possible to nominate who should receive any death benefit element of that separately, and that's often done through the pension provider or through the HR department. This also applies to life insurance. So, for example, death in service, that's payable at the discretion of the scheme administrators. And again, it would be a question of looking at whether the correct nominations have been put in place. And finally, life insurance. Many life insurance policies are written in trust so that they don't form part of the estate, but pass outside of the terms of the wills. So all of those issues can be explored, and people can make inquiries and preparation throughout this period when maybe they can't do anything else. So they think, right, now's a good time to get all my paperwork in order and to see exactly what I've got. So the next challenge with the wills is the will signing. So after the initial instructions, the solicitor would prepare draft documents and send those to you with some notes on how to explaining those things and drawing your attention to key provisions. And once they're satisfied and the clients are happy with the wills, then they must be signed in strict accordance with the law. And this requires 2 witnesses who must be present at the same time as the person signing the will. So all 3 people need to be there together. Now, clearly, this represents a challenge for social distancing. However, there is a very old case which is quite helpful, which says that as long as people can see the wills being signed, all 3 of them, then that, and that can be done through a window, then that will satisfy the requirements. What doesn't work is to witness someone signing the will through video conferencing, for example. At that stage when the will's signed, it is also helpful for us to see the clients and to check their understanding and to ensure that they've not been unduly influenced or pressurised. In certain circumstances, that simply isn't possible during this time, and so we do give guidance on how these can be signed by independent witnesses, perhaps who are local to the clients, or who they're comfortable with in terms of the social distancing. In any event, when wills are made in any of these ways, we do want to encourage our clients to review them once the lockdown has been relaxed, and that it's safe for people to do so. And indeed, we encourage our clients to review their wills in any event on a regular basis. If clients take advantage of our will storage scheme, then as part and parcel of that, they would get an annual review of their affairs to see if they've changed in the light of any changes in the law, their personal circumstances, their wealth, etc. So yes, it is possible to put some wills in place during this difficult time, and we can help you through that, and it's certainly a good time to begin to get your affairs in order and do some of the homework. However, we would like to see people, once those wills have been completed, just to check that we've seen them face to face, in any event, just to give them that peace of mind as well. I hope that that answers people's questions about whether wills can be put in place and gives an idea of the challenges and how they can be best overcome.